Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's explore the power of authenticity. Next up is John McInroy, the inspiring founder of Red Sox Fridays.
I had very strict instructions to come to the front of the stage. It's like a fun castle at the back there. There's so many things to do, but I've done my first bit. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking, so that other people won't feel insecure around us. We are all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. For me, if we're authentic, it doesn't actually matter how we tell the story. The power of being authentic is what does it, and it's the impact and the story that counts, and all these platforms, all the ways to do it, it's just about getting it out there, because when you do something that you really believe in and really mean, people support it, people tell the story for you, people help you. I wanted to share one or two stories that capture that, and for me, when you're authentic, when you do something that you really believe in, it's the best that you can be. It's like you presenting all of yourself, and it's not the entire worth of your life is contributing towards what you're doing. And there's a cool story about Van Gogh, the Vincent van Gogh. It's like one of those really dodgy ones to pronounce. Van Gogh, Van Gogh, but apparently it's Van Gogh. But he was in the. There's a story that my dad's told me before. He was painting in a park, and a lady came up to him and said, "Would you mind painting my portrait?" And he said, "No, but of course, pleasure." So he was busy, gave her, it took about 5 minutes, and he said, "There we go, madam. That'll be $10,000. And she said, "But how can you charge $10,000? That took you 5 minutes." "No, madam, that took me my lifetime." And I think it's been such a small story that's really stuck with me about this journey that I'm on, and I urge us all to be on. The other story is about pretzels. I used to live in Dublin in 2007 for about 3 years, and I went down to, there's a food festival in Dunleary, which is a port town in Dublin, and it happened to be a particularly nice day that day, which was one of the few in the 3 years that I was there. And anyway, me and a friend went down to the food store, and it's like a market where people from all over the world come to get their Italian cuisine, to get their French cuisine, because when you're away from home, food is something that really speaks to people and makes them feel, that they're closer to home. And me and Ronan went to the food festival, and we had nothing in particular that we wanted. There wasn't a boerewors store there or a biltong store, and we just said we'd see where the energy takes us. And suddenly this Italian man starts talking about his beautiful pizzas. He's like, "You've got to try my beautiful pizzas. They are fresh. They are beautiful. He's just going off. And I don't even like pizzas. They're not my favorite. And we were like, "Geez, we're having 2 of these pizzas. This guy's passion, his enthusiasm is beautiful. We want to reward it." So in his excitement, he's putting the toppings on and whatever, puts it in the oven, and suddenly when they come out, these pizzas are pitch black, like they are black. So he's like, don't worry. I put it, and he does the whole thing. And anyway, like in this whole process, the next door stand was a German pretzel stand. And while the course of this pizza saga went on, the ladies behind the pretzel stand sort of started chatting to us, and one of them was a varsity student who was helping the owner of the stand, and they were both German ladies, and started chatting, and there literally was like a mound of pretzels, and it didn't look like they'd sold many, and they were full, like when you're just over it. But they were over it, like it was like the end of the world. And anyway, so one thing led to another. The pizzas eventually came, and then the lady behind the pretzel stand sort of said, "Do you guys mind? Like, I've had a really rough day." We could see that, and would you mind just manning the fort for 10-15 minutes, because she wanted to go get a cigarette, have a break, just get away from the pretzels. So we were like, radical, cool. So I stood in front of the pretzels eating my pizza, and Ronan sort of stood behind them like the shop owner. And I'll never forget what happened. She returned 10-15 minutes later, and we had literally sold every single pretzel. Like, there was no pretzels on the table. So she was like, "Where are my pretzels?" She was freaking pissed off now. And we gave her this wad of euros, and actually it was just an incredible, small, random story that has really stuck with me and reminded me about how powerful it is just to be passionate, and also when you're doing something for others, it's so much easier, and I think you're able to be so much more if you're doing something that it's not just for yourself. And I think that's pretty much why we're here, isn't it? Like, we're saying that we're not just going to make profits, but we want to do something good with them. And when you do, you really get the best out of people, and the magic is incredible. So I'd like to share a couple of stories that have come into my life and that I'm part of, and in the hope that it inspires us all to tell our own stories and be passionate about them, and tell the stories that we are truly passionate about and believe in. So in 2007, I was living in Dublin, and a good friend of mine then moved across to Dublin with me, and he ended up falling in love with this girl who was from the Bahamas, but she'd been living in Dublin for 13 years. And after about 9-10 months, they ended up moving back to South Africa together. So like, that was the end of our... how many times does that happen? Hey, the girls get involved. But they've actually subsequently got married, and it's a really, really cool story, actually. But at the end of 2007, me and Simo were going separate ways. He was going back to South Africa. I was still working in Dublin. I was working in a property development company, but I think I did mostly photocopying. I'm not sure what it got to do with the property, but I was in a property and I was doing the photocopying. Anyway, really close friend of mine. I played many, many years of hockey varsity with him. We experienced an amazing year together in Dublin, and we were just mates sitting across the table from each other saying, like, Philip, I just want to have, it would be so cool to have something that we can remember each other by, something that no matter where we go in the world, that we can just spare a thought and just remember each other and our friendship. So he then shared a story that has had such a profound impact on my life, about this war veteran who used to come to Grey High School, Port Elizabeth, Memorial Day services, or Remembrance Day services for people who died in the war. And every single year he would walk to the front of the chapel and have his wreath of flowers to commemorate the people that have lost. And he had red socks on, and Simo was in the choir. You can't knock him for that, but every single year he saw these red socks. And eventually it came back that this man, who was called Sidney Feinson, was captured in the Second World War in the Battle of Tobruk, and along with 96 other South African prisoners, was taken to a prisoner of war camp in northern Italy, a little place called Ferrara. And there, when he was at this prisoner of war camp, he made a pact with two friends. He and the two friends said to each other, if any of them made it back alive from this experience and made it back to South Africa, that they'd wear red socks to always remember each other and always be together. And the moment that he shared that story, it wasn't a decision. It was just like, wow, like, we're going to wear red socks. And we gave each other red socks. It was the biggest mission ever to find frickin' red socks in Dublin. You had to buy like a 10-pack of which one of them was red, and you had to pay like 13 euros for it. But nonetheless, we gave each other a couple of pairs of red socks, and we just said we'll wear them on a Friday. And from that moment on, I remember at the time in Dublin, people were losing their jobs. It was like the end of the Celtic Tiger, and people, it was a negative environment. And I would arrive in work, and I would always check my red socks, and it was just a vibe, just a hiss. It was nothing. It was just fun, and suddenly more and more people in my office started wearing it. Then my housemate, he was working at KPMG, and it just moved from there. But it was only in the beginning of 2009, and I basically woke up in the middle of the night with the most crazy dream, and it was of just red socks all over the world map and connecting people. And that night, I dreamt of Barack Obama walking to that Washington, D.C. location with thousands of people in front of the microphones, pulling up his red socks and saying, "Shups!" And that was the day that, I went to my boss the next morning, and I said, this is it, bro. I said, I'm leaving. And he said, "Why are you leaving?" And I said, "Well, I had this dream about the red socks. It's all sorted." And he was like, "You're a fucking moron." Which I mean, to be fair to him, he actually cared for me, and it wasn't the smartest move, but it was something that I felt that was, it meant something to me. It was something that I felt was something I was meant to do, and there's been many things that have happened since then that have just been crazy. I mean, the fact, I think their red socks have been worn in about 65 different countries. We've sold over 50,000 pairs of red socks, and they support various different charities and different organizations. But one of the crazy connections I want to share with you is in 2010, came back to South Africa. I ended up studying in Ireland and then in India, and I came back to South Africa, and a guy had heard of the context of the Red Sox story, and he wanted to share with me a story about a Comrades Marathon runner. And I mean, at that time, the Comrades Marathon was just some long run that some people do. But it wasn't something that resonated with me. But he started talking about Phil Masterton Smith, who's a Comrades Marathon winner in 1931. He became the youngest ever winner, age 19, and you have to be 20 now to run the Comrades. But in 1933, Phil Masterton Smith couldn't afford the train fare from Cape Town to Pietermaritzburg. So instead of just giving up that year, he got on his bicycle and he cycled from Cape Town to Pietermaritzburg in 1933. Can you imagine the road conditions, the bikes, the mentality between wars and recession, depression? So I was like, this is something, like my goosebumps, like what a story. But there was more. On the 5th of June 1942, Phil Masterton Smith lost his life in the Battle of Tobruk. The same battle that Sidney Feinstein got captured in. And the moment I heard the story and the crazy connection, it wasn't a case of should we, how does, it was like we're doing that. And that was 5 months before the Comrades 2011, and it was the start of the most incredible journey. And the thing that has been the most standout about the journey, I'd love to share more about it. We're now in our 5th year. In our first year, the miracle just happened, and we raised 50,000 rand for 6 charities, the official Comrades charities, which we've started a relationship with. This year, our 4th year, we raised 1.2 million rand, but more importantly, that tells like one part of this is the support that it elicits, the complete selfless giving that we have been completely just opened up to across our country. And we've just, a week ago, we announced the Unogwaja Light Fund, which is the start of a new fund that we want to support Unogwaja lights. And what I mean by that is like in that poem I shared about when you shine your own light and you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. There are so many people in South Africa, organizations, that really are shining light on other people and that are really looking at the circle of life and looking at helping other people support themselves. I think so much about giving at the moment is great, and there's some great stuff that people are given, but without that context, without the guiding, without the nurturing, like giving sometimes actually can exacerbate a problem that is there, as opposed to really allowing for a legacy to be created, a culture to be created, and something that really is sustainable long after we've left. And that's what we're trying to start. And Another incredible thing I just wanted to share is Sidney Feinstein, the original Red Socker. When he escaped from the prison of war camp in Italy, he was discovered by a young Italian named Giovanna, 17 years old in 1943. She took him into her family, and they looked after him for months and hid him away and kept him safe. And that was at risk of the utmost severity with their family, and yet she was willing to do it. There was something inside her that said, I want to support this, even though it's ridiculous. Even though cycling to comrades, it's ridiculous. You can't do it. If there's something inside that you truly believe in, like the magic that follows is truly remarkable and truly special. I guess what I want to say in the context of today is, why am I telling you these stories? Like, how does that matter to me? What does that mean to me? I read this PwC report about green companies, blue companies, and orange companies. And I presume most of us are green companies here. We want to align what we do with the performance side of things with corporate social responsibility and consciousness. For me, I want to use the example of CSI and say too many CSI spends are about the person spending it and about how much we can get in return in terms of, I'm probably going to be controversial by even sharing this, but that neck nomination thing where, you give a piece of chocolate and a Coke to someone, that was all about the guy giving the piece of chocolate. I know that it's a lot better than drinking, but for me, it's about genuine giving where you can actually be part of something where the people that you contribute to are the people that are driving their future forward and creating that sustainability. And I really believe that if people in this room really believe in what they're doing and really look at the impact before return, I know that return for your brand, the return on investment will be tenfold, 100-fold, more than we could ever imagine. I read about Gandhi recently, how he stood up and he marched to the coast in India when they had the laws by the British colonials that said that they had to pay to use salt. So he exercised his right and his belief to take that piece of salt, and he just walked. And in walking, in him, one man making a statement of belief and intent, thousands of people joined him. And that's the message that I want to say today, is that we're talking about all these techniques, we're talking about all these elements. If we do something that we really believe in, if we do something that really matters and really impacts this world, we'll get this whole universe galvanized and supporting, and there'll be a force far bigger than any marketing team can ever muster up. And we won't be creating brands, we'll be creating a legacy, and we'll be creating a great country. Thank you very much.